All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Top 10 Movie Podcast with your boy Mike and my boy Molly.
What up?
We're here once again, bringing it to you live as we always do. Well, I say live, this is going to be months later, but you know, we're doing it live. That's all that matters.
Pre-recorded for your pleasure.
Pre-recorded for your pleasure, audio adventure. Thank you again for joining us, tuning in. We're having a blast doing these. We're just going to keep on rolling we're going to do this until we don't enjoy it. So,
I think until we're not friends anymore. I think that's the history of this.
so I have a theory, and this is something that we've kind of talked about before as a joke. My theory is we'll do this until we can't come up with a legitimate list that's worthy to do. That's how I look at it.
Then we're doing this forever, folks. Buckle up. There's always, because through the wonders of AI, there's always going to be a list. Oh my gosh,
here you go. Why do you guys gotta bring that up? Yo, that is the quickest way to just ruin. I had energy up high, and here you go with AI.
Eventually, it's going to be top 10 movies you love to create through AI. That'll be the next.
But you know, I'm never gonna watch those.
I'm telling you, movies old fogies love to watch on their VHS tapes. That'll be your list.
I might can rock with that.
Yeah, maybe that's good.
I gotta find a VHS if I even still got them.
Yeah, that would be our top 10 VHS movies we still have.
There you go. That's a good one. So today's list, guys, we're doing the top 10 most iconic protagonists in movies. For those of you that are not privy, the protagonist is the good guy or the hero of the film, and the antagonist is the villain or the bad guy of the story. Steven's the hero always needs to prevail in the movies he likes to watch. I'm the
protagonist of this podcast.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Wait a minute, but based on recent history, I may be the enemy on here. I may be the most hated one on here.
I think as long as you just don't cover Groundhog Day, we can move past that.
The Voldemort of this Harry Potter relationship, bro.
Could be. Maybe.
I think out of the two of us, which one do you think's Harry Potter? Come on. Honestly.
Oh, I'm the chosen one, 100%.
There we go.
Wait, what do you want me to say? I'm sorry.
There we go. Well, are you missing a little scar on your forehead?
I got enough wrinkles up there.
There you go. If you just wrinkle it just right, it looks like a lightning rod.
All right, guys. So yeah, top 10 most iconic protagonists in movies.
Yes. This was I wouldn't say easy, but I think it's so easy it's hard.
That's what it was. So it was too easy.
Identifiable. Like you mentioned a couple early on, you're like, I automatically took them off. And then I'm over here crying because they're like on my list because it's so easy.
Well, this is the first time.
A lot of overlapping in this one.
I'm going against the grain. I actually have more than 10 because I think it's guaranteed we're going to have at least 2 or 3 that overlap.
And I kept my 10 because I've already got chewed out on this podcast before for having more than 10.
Yeah, because we can't change the name. If you're going to add more than 10, we're going to have to name it the top 10 plus ... We ain't doing that. So yeah, we're looking at heroes. This could be anything from a franchise to a one-off movie. Heroes not just allocated to like superheroes. It could literally it's the hero of the film, the protagonist of the film.
And there's another caveat to that too. In this title of this, at least the way I have it, is the top 10 most iconic movie heroes / protagonists. So iconic made it into mine.
I have iconic.
Okay, so that to me it makes it a little bit more specified as to what we're looking for. So iconic means that to me that it has significant cultural impact. I think to the point where it's been in multiple movies. So maybe a character that's been a protagonist that's carried in multiple movies.
So you're looking at franchises then?
Yeah, that's kind of where I started in this search. It doesn't limit it to that. A character could be so iconic that it makes an impact in a single movie, no doubt.
Actually, all of mine actually are franchises checked.
Okay, so to me, I was like, okay, if it's iconic, that means people love it. That means that it's a major character that people love, and that's likely going to spur, especially nowadays, a ton of sequels.
So this will probably be the first one we've ever done that could potentially cross over to be subjective, but also it would be a lot of other people's as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are going to connect with the same thing. If you don't mind, I'm going to kick it off.
I like when you kick it off because you set the tone, man. Let's go.
I want to kick it off because I think I need to get as many of these out of the way before you get to them than I do. This is easy. First one, James Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond, protagonist, been in movies forever. Not just been in movies forever, spawned different actors. Different actors have played this character. That's when you know that the iconicness of this character has bypassed the actor. Because there's been several movies where Sean Connery was popular, Roger Moore was popular, Timothy Dalton was popular, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, the newest one. Well, there's going to be a new one from him now.
Are you really gonna say Timothy Dalton is iconic? As
Okay,
we could cut his 3 or 4 movies out.
Destro. I have a friend, but his nickname is Destro. Okay, if you're listening, buddy, I'm going to send you this podcast. Destro is the #1 James Bond fan I have ever met.
Okay.
He's also a huge Bruce Lee fan. But then Bond and his father in Bond, they bonded over Bond. And he knows everything, every single thing about James Bond that you could ever imagine this man knows. And I trust his judgment when it comes to it. And he says the definitive Bond, based on the books, is Timothy Dalton. So that's why, at least in my mind, Timothy Dalton gets a mention because he was in 2 Bond films.
Yeah, that's how bad he was.
He
only
was in
got
2
2
Bond films, and apparently he's the closest thing to the real character. So I don't know.
Okay.
You know, but to appease my friend Destro, if you're listening out there, I got you Timothy Dalton.
Well, I will say this: the Timothy Dalton Bonds is when they started to take the Bond films a little more seriously.
Yeah.
And it wasn't jokey, comedic in nature, more action, a darker tone. So I will give him that.
Be the definitely. No, I don't know about the action part, but the darker tone for sure. It was more. I don't know, it was more bubbly. Now the Daniel Craig's took a darker tone too. You know, I think they took it to another level. I don't particularly remember the Timothy Dalton versions very well, but
there's a reason for that, but I won't say.
But the Daniel Craig, yeah, you know, and Pierce Brosnan might be my favorite, but I really do love Daniel Craig, what he's done with it. But the one that I grew up with, actually literally grew up with, was Roger Moore. So that kind of campy type of, something that you would expect the guy who directed Batman and Robin, you know what I mean?
Joel Schumacher?
Yeah, you did. If Joel Schumacher was directing movies, it might have been, but directing movies in the 70s, like Bond, he would direct Bond because it would be that kind of, it felt hokey sometimes.
I'll give you that.
All right, so James Bond, iconic character, a character that's beyond just one actor. Which is a lot of these, some of them, not all of them, but a lot of some of these actors play multiple players, but iconic in that sense. That if you think of James Bond, everybody thinks of a different actor. I mean, we talked about 5 already. So definitely, I think one of the most iconic in movie history.
Okay, it's a great way to kick off. I had that on my list as well, so it's a good. Like I said, it's good that I had more because
It's 13 is down to 12, folks.
Yep.
welcome.
And to keep just striking them off the list, I'm gonna have 3
With no pen.
with no pen. It's all in my head.
We got some sriracha sauce here. You might be able
That's gonna bleed all over my whole list, man. We're gonna have no podcast. Now, first one for me, gonna show the ladies some love.
Hello.
This is probably the most iconic female protagonist in cinematic history, I believe. This is sci-fi action, groundbreaking, ahead of its time even, and they're still trying to figure out how to make more of these types of movies even today. This is Ripley from the Alien franchise.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Why are you laughing? I don't like that you're laughing, bro. You don't agree with this. Okay, well, all right, fair enough. Well, let me just go ahead and get this out so you can move on.
Hit me.
Then. So, to me, Ripley is the most iconic female protagonist. She goes up against aliens, like these terrifying-looking, supernatural-looking creatures in space. She does it in her underwear. She does. I mean, come on. Like, where all these other guys failed, where Tom Skerritt failed, where Michael Biehn failed, Sigourney Weaver was able to pull this off in underwear and a wife beater. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And look, she's the first female character to be the quote strong female lead without having to be labeled the strong female lead. Like the era we live in now, everything there's this whole thing about being woke and all these characters, these female characters having these abilities seemingly out of nowhere, and they can take down 50 men that are 2 times their size, and they can accomplish any obstacle that's in their way, by themselves. Like Ripley was that without having to have the tropes of a strong quote unquote female lead. She was just a regular woman placed in an unimaginable situation, and she just had to figure it out. And everything about her and the situation she was in, within the realm of Alien in that sci-fi world, made sense. Like she was just had to use the tools at her disposal. This is in the future. It's in space, and she had these things that she had to figure out, and it all seemed natural within the confines of the world that's being created.
Okay.
It's not just like now you can just master the force because you see somebody else do it, or I
The
can,
Force.
I mean, come on, you know I'm shooting. I'm taking a shot at somebody because that was just not right. They shouldn't have done that franchise that way. But
Gotcha.
no, I stand with Ripley 100%.
All right. Yeah, I'm thinking about how many Alien movies were there? Were there 3 with her in it?
Well, no, Alien Resurrection is number 4. She's in that as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so 4. When I think of Sigourney Weaver, that's not her most iconic movie character in my mind. I don't know.
If you say Ghostbusters, I'm leaving.
Well, there's definitely Ghostbusters, Galaxy Quest for me. I love her in that.
It's a one-off. It's a one-off.
But it's a Ripley. Yeah, Ripley's multiple movies. Yeah.
If you ask 10 people,
Winona Ryder was in one with her.
Alien Resurrection. But if
the
you
one-
ask 10
I've seen
people in our age group that say, "Hey, what's Sigourney
the
Weaver's
most iconic
they're going to
female
say this.
character?
They're going to say this.
You might be right. Yeah. Okay.
You can probably make the argument for Ghostbusters. I get that.
No, just memorable. I mean, not necessarily always
Iconic, yeah.
You know, but this particular, yeah, Heroes. I think Heroes heroine.
Yeah, she did it by herself
The
twice.
Protagonist. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I think you won me over with that one.
I know I could do it.
You did it. For me, my second one on the list is pretty easy. Again, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, spanned 5 now, 5 movies. Really defined and dominated that genre of movie since the 80s. I don't think anybody else has done it as good or as well, or not as well as often. It was a kind of a, and even Spielberg and George Lucas talked about how that was based on like some of the serials from like the 20s or 30s of that kind of archaeologist, adventurer, treasure hunter, Laura Croft type situation, right?
Yep.
And Laura Croft might have been very well in this movie, Angelina Jolie, if it had done better. There was a female equivalent, but no, it can't beat Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Last Crusade, which is my favorite. The 2 lesser ones recently, like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, The Dial of Destiny.
Temple of Doom. You didn't mention that one.
There's a reason. No, it's fine. It's yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, Indiana Jones, iconic. You see the hat, you see the whip, you know exactly who it is. Maybe the perfect protagonist, popularity wise.
I got a question for you about this franchise.
I'm done.
After Dial,
Played by one person, by the way.
yep, which is over what the span of 40 plus years.
Somebody's going to take it.
Yeah.
Thought it was going.
You
They
think so?
thought it was going to be Shia, not Shia. And then the rumors were it's going to be Chris Pratt. I think he'd be okay with it, but
I actually hope they don't. I think they should just leave it as it
no,
is.
it's just there's no way.
You don't think so?
Too popular.
Okay, we'll see.
I mean, they're still making them now.
Yeah, but he shouldn't. Let me tell you, he should. So that's what I was gonna. That leads me to
But
my
if
question.
it's Ryan Gosling,
That's not gonna be a good Indiana
I mean, I'm just saying if it was a popular actor now, playing
okay.
it, maybe it would do just as better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So with Dial of Destiny now out,
Yeah.
and everybody's seen it and have their opinions on it,
Yeah.
does that lessen how harsh of people's review of what was the one?
Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I
That's
think
what I've been hearing too. I was just curious what your thought of.
I thought that Dial of Destiny was better than Crystal Skull, but the two, I think, it was better because of proximity, not necessarily because of quality.
Okay.
So because it was the one after Crystal Skulls, yeah, it's better because Crystal Skulls was so rough. Some areas, it's still action, adventure. Like on a very base level of film watching, it's fine. It's entertaining. Yeah, it's unbelievable in parts. Swinging with monkeys and with Shia LaBeouf doing that, or Shia's entire character Mutt and why. Like there's a lot of questions, and then kind of the over the top acting by Blanchett.
Oh yeah.
And then how old that Harrison is just getting. It's kind of unbelievable. They did. I thought in Dial of Destiny did a pretty good job of de-aging him. Give it another 10 years if he has another 10 years, or give it another 10 years. it might be look perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it'll be a character that'll only ever have one actor.
That's what I hope.
I mean, there'll still be new movies made,
But no Indiana Jones.
no, Indiana will still be played by Harrison Ford,
Oh no, no,
even when
we're
he
done.
passes on.
Okay, see, I see what you're trying to get me to.
I'm just saying
you're
it's
trying
a
to bait me into an
possibility,
AI conversation.
Wait, okay. Let me ask you that. Would you, if you had to only choose out of two, one of two options? One is they recast Indiana Jones, and it's the guy that you don't like, or two, they do AI Indiana Jones from here into eternity. Which one would you
Recast. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
Yeah. I feel like you trapped me, but yeah, it's.
No, I think it's a legit.
But my thing is,
That's how much you hate the idea.
I think in terms of cinema, there's certain characters that they're legacy characters. They should just be untouched. Now James Bond is an anomaly to me because I think it's the only character that's lasted that long that continues to be recast because the actor ages out and there's just enough story there to tell. But for the most part, a lot of the legacy characters, I think we should just let it be. How can it be special if it continues and it doesn't end? Part of what makes it special is something ends. It's the same thing with life. And it's like life is beautiful and special because it ends. So you do everything you can with what little you have because you know it's going to be over at some point.
I said my argument for that is those 5 movies will always exist. They're never not going to exist.
But I think if you continue on, you taint the legacy and how special those are.
Maybe in the minds of those who never saw those first 5, or those that, like the newer generations that come along, maybe they're not associated with these 5, but they could always go back and watch them. Like they don't, you know what I mean? No matter what, like Back to the Future, I don't necessarily want them to remake it, but I would still welcome a remake. Why?
Oh.
Because no matter what they do, no matter if they get Tom Holland to play Marty McFly or whatever, they're never going to ruin that trilogy for me. That trilogy is cemented in glass, in stone, never going to be touched. I can always go back, and it'll take me back to 1985, and it'll be right back when I was a kid, and I'm right there.
Okay.
That's never going to be tainted no matter what they do after, no matter what. Now, the writer and the filmmaker of the movie, they don't ever want it to be remade. But the problem is, they're not going to have control of it for forever.
You're right.
And maybe at some point it's going to reach public domain, and then anybody can do anything they want with it. So I don't mind what comes after, because it'll never impact what came before in my mind. Now, what it can do is ruin that franchise for somebody that's new, that's never seen the first 3, and all they know about Back to the Future is the new one, and the new one sucks, and they never give the other 3 the chance. That would be the only negative I see. But to me, it still doesn't ruin the legacy of the first 3. It may ruin it for new audiences who aren't introduced to it like we are. But it's not our job to make sure that they watch the things that we love. It's their thing to watch and love the things they love. And maybe then they have the option of going back and watching what I watch. They don't have the option of watching it in the time that it came out. There's something to be said for that. Watching it in 1985 is a whole different experience than watching it in 2024.
Yep.
You can never get that back. And we can never introduce that to our kids. But we can introduce to them the films that we love. We can show it to them, and they can get a really big sense of what it was. They won't get everything, but they'll get 99% of it. And they'll never be ruined based on what anybody else does. So I'm okay with remakes.
So let me throw your question back to you.
Hit me.
AI or recast?
I'll do AI. I'm fine with it.
I kind of figured you would.
I'm okay with Harrison Ford being alive forever if it looks good. It's got to be past that uncanny valley where I can't tell the difference. But there's always going to be a part of me in the back of my mind that knows it's AI. If it can ever transcend that, where I can forget that it's AI, that's that good that I forget it's AI, that's where they got me.
But you're not going to forget because you're going to know Harrison Ford's really dead. You're never going to fully forget. I don't care how immersive the movie is.
Look, you go back and watch Burt Reynolds' movie. Go back and watch Smoking the Bandit. I love that. I have a good time. I can watch it right now and have a good time.
Yeah.
But Burt Reynolds dead.
Right.
But it captured him. Surely it captured him at a certain time. Right? And he'll be forever alive in film. That just carries over to AI. It's not him. He's still not alive. It is him, right? That filmed it, obviously, back then in '79 and when that was filmed. but that person who played him is no longer with us. I think it's not a huge jump to go to AI and say that person, it's not no longer with us. Now the bigger jump is he didn't actually film those scenes.
Right.
But if we can get past that jump, and I don't think it's a big chasm, get to the point where we just are in the movie, we love the character, and we're okay with it being AI. Like, you do know when you watch, and I'm not a big fan of animated movies, but you do know when you watch animated movies, those people ain't alive. They're not people.
I mean, they're voiced by real people.
Yeah, but voices. Are you okay with a voice being AI? Because it's happening.
It's happening, but
James Earl Jones already gave his permission to use for Darth Vader.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
And in probably the last couple Vader films that you've seen, it wasn't his voice. I think it was in Obi-Wan Kenobi. They used
That was not him. It was AI.
So I'm just saying, if you're okay with voices, not a big leap.
It's an interesting question, I think, because
it's one we're going to have to tackle too, because
it's the whole reason everybody's going on. A lot of people are going on strike now. The writers and the actors went on strike last year because of this.
They're trying to protect they got to feed their families. Totally understand that, and they can work out a deal, get it done. Absolutely. Doesn't mean that the door is not already kicked wide open for AI stuff to do some things, and eventually everything maybe. We're not to that point yet. We may never get to that point. We don't know, but I don't think it's, if you can watch an animated movie and say, man, that Miles Morales is, I love that guy. That guy's amazing. That guy's not who you think that guy is. The voice don't match the face, right? I don't know who plays Miles Morales. The voice.
You don't know who Shamik Moore is?
Oh, it's Shamik. Okay, yeah, I do know, but he ain't that young.
No, he's definitely not.
He's like 50 years old, if I remember right.
Shamik Moore? You're talking about Shamar Moore.
Shamar, that's right.
From SWAT. No, Shamik Moore is like 27, 28-year-old kid. Okay.
Does he look like the character?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, well, then that works out.
Now, the only thing is, obviously, Miles Morales is of like Latino and African American descent.
Okay.
Whereas Shamik Moore is just 100%.
See, I picked the wrong. I said Miles Morales. I should have said Miles Morales.
Yeah, well, you said that. I was like, I got him.
Well, I was picking somebody you love, so you just kind of like to.
No, but I hear your point there. It's a valid point. I think this is going to be one of those things we'll continue to discuss.
We will.
The podcast.
This is not going to be new. This is not a new discussion.
Yeah.
This is not the last.
And we're going to have people inevitably listening that
chiming in
on
at
both sides.
Like, you're both wrong.
Yeah, they're going to be on both sides.
How do you want your haircut? You're both wrong. Okay.
Where were we? Oh,
I said Indiana Jones. And I thought Indiana Jones, I'm okay with it. Look, there's a new video game coming out with Indiana Jones. It's coming out on PS5. It's coming out, So it's a major video game. I think people are excited about it. It's not Harrison Ford's voice.
Right.
Right. It's another.
It'll be
sounding-ish.
Indiana Jones likeness though.
That's right.
Okay.
Hey, I could make that Indiana Jones's voice. I think pretty confidently. They'd have to pay Harrison Ford, obviously, but if Harrison Ford gave his permission, I don't think everybody would love that. I don't think they would be opposed to that. Harrison Ford said, yes, you can use my voice. AI uses his voice, and it sounds just like him. Maybe not even just because he's old him and young him sound different.
They do sound different.
So it could sound like young him. It would be perfect. I
would maybe ease up on the argument if the specified individual agreed.
Yeah.
Then I might ease up on my argument for sure.
Here's what's I don't know if it's gonna win you over. It's gonna make you more bitter. But one day there's going to be a movie actor. It's gonna give a great performance that you're gonna love, and nobody's gonna tell you it's AI.
Until they win the Oscar, and then by the way, hey, gotcha.
Yeah, at some point it'll be revealed, but everybody will fall in love with that character and think it's a real person, and it's not even gonna be a real person.
You think that's gonna happen? You think it's gonna happen?
I think.
I wonder if they're gonna find a way to.
They're already making that. Photos of people that don't exist.
Oh yeah, right? I know, yeah.
I don't think it's a big leap to somebody say I can't pay anybody. I can't let this person look like anybody else because they look like somebody else. I could get sued, so I'm gonna make my own person. And then that film's gonna do so good that people are gonna believe it's a real person.
Okay.
And then maybe that'll be a bridge for some people to cross over. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm open to it. I'm not saying I'm going to love it, but I'm open to the possibilities of being to create a movie without a studio, without actors. I know that's putting a lot of people out of work.
Out of work, yes.
But AI is putting a lot of people out of work right now.
I know, which probably is my bigger argument is the job that you have in your everyday life. I know what it is. My job in my everyday life, AI can do both of those things,
Yes,
which is scary.
it is, and and people are talking about, well, I don't want to get into politics, so let's
Right,
not
right,
get
right,
into
right, right.
politics.
Exactly.
But I will say this, that it potentially opens up. Hopefully, it opens up to be us to be more artistic and to follow our passions a little bit more, and not have to do the minutia of just to get through the 9 to 5 stuff. Then maybe we could pursue our passions more that way. But we got to make a living too. So that's the crux of the whole thing. But AI is coming, and we've got to figure out a workforce without that works alongside this, because it's going to happen. I can't. I don't think you can stop it. So anyway, that's a sad note to end that one on. Again, Indiana Jones coming to theaters near you soon as AI only.
Okay, great closeout, man. Second one for me. I mean, it's just one name. I don't care how old you are, young you are, because this franchise has continued on, even without the character now at this point. But we're talking about Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky.
On your list?
No.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, not on my. It was on my list. It was. That's why it was
Okay.
on my list. But I felt like I had some other ones.
Gotcha.
But it was.
I mean, Rocky kind of speaks for itself. I mean, the the quintessential underdog story.
Yeah.
Both in Sly Stallone's personal life to get the first film made,
Amazing.
and all the way up to what the character stands for.
Doesn't get enough credit for the kind of actor and I don't know about visionary, but certainly like able to. Not a lot of people would have been able to achieve the thing that he did with Rocky.
Agreed. I heard there's a great documentary out about him now too that I heard is really good.
It's a good story.
A lot of the classic greatest are from the '80s are having documentaries. Like Stallone's got one, Schwarzenegger's got one. Somebody else mentioned one to me not too long ago that's out that I didn't even know about. But yeah, back to Rocky. Like he stands for, like, he represents just the everyday common man.
Yeah.
The guy who's like got the world against him and I can't do it, well, no, I can do it because if Rocky can do it, anybody can do it. And I think he even kind of makes a couple of speeches about that in I believe it's Rocky 4, where he basically solves world peace.
Yeah.
Like going to Russia and beating up a guy. But I mean, what the character stands for, especially for guys our age that grew up with the character, it means a lot more to us than just a movie, just entertainment. Like it kind of shows us as kids that you can achieve anything you want, you can be anything you want. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it or you're not worthy of it at all. And like I said, his legacy continues on to the Creed franchise. He was in Creed 1 and 2, not in 3, and there's controversy behind that, but I'm not talking about that. I actually hope that they somehow find a way to bring him back in part 4, because 4 is happening. I think Creed doesn't exist without Rocky.
Yeah.
So to me, I do feel like it was a slight to not even really. They mentioned him once, I think, or twice in the film by name. But we don't see him. We don't know where he is. But I mean, every training montage in those movies, I still get chills as a grown man to this day.
That music, the Rocky thing comes on.
They're just done so well. Like you would think training montages are kind of corny, and some are. It also depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
But there's a style to his way of his montages, and then the perfect music from the '80s. My favorite one's Rocky 4. That's just.
And you know what? Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Recently,
Oh my gosh.
and he's the original, the only Apollo Creed. Mm-hmm. And man, I loved seeing him back in The Mandalorian again was so good, and just reminded me. He not only acted in it, he directed. At least I know one of the episodes. Was a good director.
Uh-huh.
Good, just reminded me how good of an actor that he is, and man, he played the perfect Muhammad Ali type.
He did.
Boxer, and played the part. For a lot of people in the '80s, they only knew him as Apollo Creed. So, but yeah, Rocky, definitely, especially that time, it was taking advantage of, or it maybe helped boost the popularity of boxing at the time.
Right.
Boxing was, I think, the way that we feel about UFC now, I think is what we felt about boxing back then. In those matches, right on the tail end of Muhammad Ali's career, and then we saw a lot of people like Sugar Ray Leonard and who else was there during that time? Of course, Mike Tyson there more in the later '80s.
I said Morgan Freeman, but it's not Morgan Freeman. It's
Hagler.
the guy that the grill does the grill.
Oh, George Foreman.
George Foreman. Yeah, not Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
It was just a great time for that movie to explode. Probably has something to do with that movie exploding the way that it did. But I tell you one thing about the whole Rocky thing is that he's kept throughout all of the movies. It's this kind of um, it is a almost a naive optimism throughout his entire but he's also intelligent. Like he's smarter than you think, and his philosophies on being positive are really good. And like he's up against it, and you see him battle through so much stuff. And even in I forgot in the first one he doesn't win in that first match, but you would think that he did. And then of course to come back in the second one, and then took advantage of the Mr. T hype, Clubber Lang in the third one. And then of course my favorite was number 4.
Yep, same.
It's just with Dolph Lundgren and the whole Russian thing, and he had to be alive during that time because the
Cold War.
The Cold War between us and Russia was, I don't know if it's at its height, but it was certainly something that we were fearful of. So the Russians at the time were just our enemies. It felt like. So yeah, and so that film not only took place during maybe the height of the Cold War for us, but also like showed peace between the two nations. So that was kind of cool.
How many guys do you know in cinematic history can go to another country, beat you in your backyard, and win over your people? That's nuts.
It is.
It's crazy.
But it is a character trait that I think defines iconic movie heroes and protagonists. You think about Rocky, he just wouldn't go down. No matter what, he would keep getting up, and that was one of his mantras. You keep fighting, you keep getting up. They knock you down, you get up. So, great choice. Just like James Bond, my next character on the list has been played by multiple different actors, multiple different decades, and even into today. We have our modern version, I'm sure, of this one. Recently, actually, just got played by Henry Cavill. This was played by, but this is Sherlock Holmes. Holmes.
Not what I thought you were gonna say.
I know. Sherlock Holmes. Henry Cavill played Sherlock Holmes in the I think it's called Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes with Millie Bobby Brown.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the most recent Sherlock Holmes. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. did in the movies. Benedict Cumberbatch did in British television. But this is a character that's been played by, most famously in the 30s, by Basil Rathbone. That's really kind of where the origins of the movie part of it started with Sherlock Holmes. Obviously, a ton of books for Sherlock Holmes, and that's what the character's based on. But famous actors like Ian McKellen, Christopher Plummer, they've played Sherlock Holmes before. Even Michael Caine's played Sherlock Holmes. So again, does it qualify on this list as an iconic movie character? Yes. It's been, again, movies since the 30s have portrayed this character. It's been played by multiple well-known, well-respected actors. In fact, I mentioned some Oscar winners. Robert Downey Jr. now is amongst them after just recently winning for Oppenheimer. It has a great legacy. It's that detective. It's that quirky detective that has a knack for detail, and almost a superhero or sixth sense about how to investigate crime and find criminals. So he's a hero that he takes criminals off the street, and how he does it is the entertaining thing. So Sherlock Holmes for me.
What's your favorite iteration of the character?
My favorite is Johnny Lee Miller, who played the character in Elementary. Because not only was...
that's the television show.
That's the television show, Elementary, with...
Lucy Liu, right?
Lucy Liu, that's right. And I 7 seasons, and just one of my favorite television shows. And for him in particular, the way he plays a modern Sherlock Holmes that is a drug addict. So he has to deal with rehabilitation. He takes drugs to help suppress all the things that are going on in his mind. And in the TV show, Moriarty is played by a woman, and she's a woman that they fall in love. So Moriarty is actually probably his one true love. So they play the opposites really well. So you have the good and the bad. She's brilliant, he's brilliant, but they're on opposite sides.
Okay.
But she also will not let anybody hurt him, and so she's protective of him. But he's always pursuing her because she's doing evil.
Well, she's
criminal
she's the
things.
bad guy. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's an interest. So their twist, the modern twist on Sherlock Holmes, and Johnny Lee Miller's portrayal of it, I really love.
That's the only iteration that actually takes place in like modern day too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Everything else is like yeah. Everything else seems like it's previous. Although I think either Ian McKellen or Christopher Plummer played an older Sherlock Holmes, like towards the end of his life.
Okay.
So that might have been more towards modern, but I really do think I think you're right. But let's not it's such an iconic character that I think a lot of other characters are similarly based on him.
Got it.
That
Okay.
so that that could be also that goes into the iconic part of it, where you can see fragments of Sherlock Holmes type investigation shows out there. I mean, there's no loss of TV shows like NCIS or CSI or especially in the 2000s, there were so many of those. Like we're going to do criminal investigations and figure this out. And I think there's always kind of an element of a Sherlock Holmesy thing going on in all of those shows. Anyway, what's your
Excellent
next
choice. I agree with it.
Was that on your list?
No, it wasn't.
Well, that's beautiful then.
I'm waiting to debate you. That
13
I
picks
can't
and
find
Sherlock wasn't on it. It's okay. You had a couple I didn't either. That's just good.
Next one for me, I'm actually going to skip this one and go to Shift Upward. I mean, this is a movie that I've seen all four of these movies recently through, again, I keep talking about how...
I'm sorry to share this with you, bro. I'm sorry. But there are actually 11, or going to be 11 Fast and Furious movies. So you've only seen 4.
Nope.
You've got a lot to go, brother.
It's not what I'm talking about.
Vin Diesel's not on this list?
I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to lie to you. Like, I almost thought of putting them on there, but I was like, no, I can't devalue my credibility in that way.
Right.
So I had to take them off the list instantly. No, this one is a movie. I've watched all these movies in the franchise. There's 4 of them now through YouTube reaction channels, and like in a row. And I hadn't seen the first one in a while, so I started there, and then I just like, well, I guess I'll watch 2. I guess I'll watch 3, and even though 4 is the most recent, and I've seen it a lot, I was like, I might as well go ahead and just watch 4 just to complete the journey of watching it. And this is John Wick.
Okay. Yes. So we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
So is he on your list?
No.
He's on your list? Okay.
He was, and I took him off, and I'll tell you why after
Okay. So, I mean, Keanu Reeves is like one of the most beloved actors just of our time. Humble, gracious.
Sunny Utah.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he's played some iconic characters.
Absolutely.
I mean, Neo from The Matrix, Johnny Utah from Point Break.
Point Break.
You could even say
The guy from Speed.
Jack Traven from Speed. Yeah, I mean, the list kind of does go on and on. But to me, it's John Wick. I think maybe because it's the most recent character he's played. He's played this character for, I think it's been a decade now as of this year. Actually, 11 years. The first one was 2013, so 11 years now. And spoiler alert, just in case if somebody hasn't seen 4 yet, I can't say it. I can't say it because I was just talking to a guy today about it. No, this guy listens. I was just talking to this franchise, about the franchise with this guy today. Okay. He's only seen part 1.
What's his name?
No. I'm not. No.
You don't want to dox him? I'm just trying to give him a shout out.
Just because you got doxed doesn't mean I have to dox me. My homeboy Jason. Okay, it's Jason.
Jason, what's up, bro?
Yeah. By the way, Jason is also a realtor. If you guys have been following my portrait.
Wait. We ain't giving no free advertising.
Oh, we're not plugging my stuff? Okay,
no, Jason,
fine.
You can pay like everybody else if you want to advertise.
Fair enough. My boy, I tried, man. But anyway, John Wick, to me, I think when it's all said and done, he's going to go down as one of the top, whatever, most iconic protagonists just in cinematic history.
Yeah.
He'll be up there with the names that we have, that we've mentioned.
His suit, his long hair. People will be wearing that
I like
Halloween parties for
the first 2 John Wicks. I like when he had the slick back behind his ear, and then at 3 and 4, he's kind of let it be a little more wild and free.
Like at the end of Point Break, he just let
yeah, that was
or the surfer hair.
That was the beginning. That was John Wick's origin story.
Yeah, probably right. Crazy origin story.
But yeah,
I'm a quarterback.
I was
a cop.
I was just telling my friend, John Wick has found a way to up the ante in action and world building with the high table and this secret underground assassin world each time, to the point where a lot of people have told me 4 is the best one.
And I don't know how they get up from this. That's the thing. Every time they do one, I'm like, how are they going to top this?
I don't know. Even Keanu Reeves has been stated as saying, like, I hope he doesn't do any more because, he does all of his stunts for real. Like, I've seen BTS of him on the range. he can use all those weapons for real. Like, this guy is John Wick.
Yeah, but he got all that training out of the way now. He can just do it.
Yeah, but I mean, he's also like 62,
Yeah,
63.
I can't believe it. He looks so good.
He was great for his age. But that's pretty much it. The guy knows how to kill people with pretty much anything.
He does.
He's once killed 3 men in a bar with a pencil.
Yeah.
So
And we'd be here forever talking about John Wick scenes. Okay. The only reason why I didn't put it on my list, it would have been on it. It was on it for a minute. Is the heroes part of my list. I know we're doing the heroes are protagonists. To me, though, I bumped up against the hero thing because John Wick's not a hero.
he's an anti-hero.
I don't know.
Well, he's an assassin, and usually if you're an assassin, you're a bad guy, right?
The assassin tried to put his life back. Somebody killed his dog, so he goes back to being an assassin and killing the assassins. Yeah, but he's one of them. He's not doing it he's not doing it as a heroic act, right?
Right.
Right.
But
They keep attacking him.
they won't leave him alone.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
He gave up the life to become a good guy for his wife.
So
right?
protagonist movie, yeah, I get it. Protagonist, yes, agreed. Maybe I would have had it on my list if I could just scratch the hero part of it. But he is definitely not a hero, which my next two are. We talked about this already. Tony Stark, Iron Man, Steve Rogers, Captain America, heroes.
Yeah.
Next two on my list.
Okay.
I just want to do them both because you talked about both.
Right.
Both Marvel characters. Easy ones to pick. I would argue that Captain America is the better hero, pure hero. But Stark, particularly Robert Downey Jr., sparked the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Could be an argument made that really Spider-Man, maybe the early X-Men helped to really spark it. But to me, where the MCU really took off was with Iron Man because it was an unexpected hit. And then they forced, or they had Iron Man sprinkled into other movies in order to make them successful. Avengers, Spider-Man. Like, he was the seed and all of those things to help get them going.
I think that was just like to add, like, he was the connective tissue
Right.
throughout the rest of the saga.
Yes.
Basically.
And in the end of the saga ends, spoiler alert, with his death. So it's like his finding life, finding a passion in the first movie, to then fulfilling his destiny by the end movie and saving everyone, is like, that's the perfect arc. It should be argued that it should maybe never be touched, that he should never come back.
He might
But
be
he's gonna come back.
one of the best performers. His performance was so good as Tony Stark that it might be untouchable.
It might be. There
Yeah.
might be. I'm sure it's going to be played by someone else, but they're going to have to figure another way to play it.
He was so good in the first one that I could have watched just 2 hours of Tony Stark, the character, not even
Yeah.
Iron Man. That's how good
Just
he was.
making jokes.
Yeah.
In the Vegas,
in the casino.
in the casino. Yeah. So, to me, even though it just came out in 2008, right?
Well, you say just. I mean, that was 16 years ago. I mean,
Yeah, and it spawned multiple movies. 16 years, probably had 16 movies. It feels like
he's the only reason I think the MCU is still even afloat at this point.
it might be the reason they come back. If they bring him back for something like Secret Wars or something. But anyway, yeah, we're talking about iconic movie heroes. Nobody gave a crap about Iron Man prior to 2008.
True.
And then he is the crux of an entire, probably the greatest movie tie-in, multiple movie era ever. Like, there's never been anything what we've seen outside of television tying movies together for years, for
A
literal
full
decade.
Yeah.
Unheard of, never done before. Even when Jaws 2, 3, 4, nobody tied those together, and each one was like better and better and better than the last one. Nobody's ever done this. So, yeah, Iron Man for me, because of what he's done for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think Steve Rogers, Captain America, was along for that ride. It could be argued the greatest superhero movie ever made might be, Captain America, Winter Soldier. It's so good.
It's in the contention for sure. Yeah.
So good. The Batmans are in it too. The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, it's definitely in there. But,
Terminator 2.
yeah, there's so. But anyway, Steve Rogers, I think, is more iconic in the hero part of it. Tony Stark is more important to the entirety of movies for the last decade plus. So we'll get those two superheroes out of the way because they have superhero in the title. They're not my last superhero on the movie, but they are tied together because of Marvel. So let me do my honorable mention too because it's on here really quickly because it is tied into this.
Always breaking the rules, man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I have him as an honorable mention. Is he on your list?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Nope.
Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland.
Or you're gonna put all three actors.
All in a movie together.
It's just okay.
Recently,
Okay.
like that's never really been done either. Where they take the previous Spider-Man, take any character. Like, I guess maybe it has been. Who is it? I'm thinking that there has been done before. I need to think about it a little bit more. But think about this: the first guy to play the character, the second guy to play the character, the third guy to play the character, and then they bring them all together. I don't know if it's ever really been done like that, and it's all the same character. It's all Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was iconic before the movies.
Mm-hmm.
People love that was people's favorite superhero without a movie universe.
Right.
So, honorable mention Spider-Man.
Okay. That's a nice little trio right there.
Yeah.
Next one for me is kind of in the same vein as the Rocky character, in that he's just kind of like the common man, and he finds a way to win, no matter how much he gets beat up. But you can put this guy in a high rise in L.A., or you can put him in an airport, or you can put him in the middle of New York City, and he's gonna find a way to win, no matter what, by himself.
Son of a gun.
This is the one and only John McClane, played by the legendary Bruce Willis.
You got one of mine.
I figured we both have this guy for sure. I mean, this guy is talking about a guy who's always at the wrong place at the wrong time, and his luck couldn't be any worse.
I think sometimes he creates his own.
His own chaos.
Like he puts himself in situations.
Look, man, he's just trying to make amends with his wife. That's
he does.
it.
He's just always just trying to get back to Holly.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just trying to get to Holly and my kids.
He's a lover, not a fighter. But you bring that fighter out of him. He's to me. I always look at it like, okay, I'm just a guy trying to go, reconcile my marriage with my wife, and now you piss me off because you're just trying to kill people.
Right.
So now I'm agitated.
I got to take you down.
Yeah, and one of the most iconic things about John McClane's character is his little one-liners and how he's always monologuing to himself. It's just entertaining to just watch him. I could watch a movie with John McClane without action.
Come to LA.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's not much else to say. Like, it's John McClane.
Yeah.
Like, if you've seen Die Hard, you know what kind of guy this is.
Played by one character, played by Bruce Willis. Tough, gritty, and snarky. The main thing. And, always finds himself in a situation where he needs to save something, save someone. Let's also say that he's had a pretty impressive cast of villains to play against.
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Obviously, the first one being Snipe himself.
Snape.
Snape. So I see Snipe. I don't know why I keep saying Snape.
I don't know.
But it is Snape. Yesterday I went down a rabbit hole about... I didn't understand the whole villain arc in Harry Potter, where he fell in it.
Dude, we're not doing that right now. We can do that later. We can debate that later. This is not what they tuned in for. We can do Harry Potter later.
But what's the actor's name?
Alan Rickman.
Yes, Alan Rickman. And then
His first acting role, by the way.
Bill Sadler was the second movie. I know it because he was naked in a kind of a martial arts.
Yeah, he was doing like his karate movie.
Yeah, I remember that. And then the third one, which is, I think this is my favorite one.
Okay.
Which is with Samuel L. Jackson with him. Is that the one I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
The Vengeance, yeah. And Jeremy Irons is the villain.
Jeremy Irons is so good in that. 4 is Die Hard, Live Free, Die Hard. Timothy Oliphant.
And Maggie Q. Yep.
And then the 5th one was in Russia, right?
Yeah, with him and his son. Yeah, I don't even remember much about it.
And that may be the worst film.
Yeah, it was the worst of the 5 for sure. 4 for sure.
It's probably some Oscar-nominated Oscar actor. Probably some guy that's like super good. But I just don't remember. Okay, yeah, John McClane, man, good pick. How do you replace John McClane though?
That's the thing.
Who's next?
I mean,
Can't be Bruce anymore.
But see, that franchise has spawned so many Die Hard in a plane, Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard in space. Like,
You think it's done? Somebody's going to reboot.
Somebody's going to do it. Unfortunately, yeah. If there's a way for studios to tap into and get a new generation in on a franchise, they're going to do it.
It's going to be Fall Guy. It's going to be Ryan Gosling. Dude, whether it's... I think... Tell me not... Ryan Gosling looked like he was just shot to be at the Oscars. for
Yeah,
Barbie.
he was.
He doesn't look like he took it serious.
No, and I don't. And I kind of I'm with him because I think the whole thing is I'm the one winning the awards for this movie. And this movie wouldn't have even happened without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie.
Oh, okay.
And they're getting no recognition.
Like a silent protest a bit.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. My next iconic movie or hero or protagonist. It's more about popularity here. You have to be a fan of the genre of sci-fi. He started this character on television, went for 3 seasons, got canceled, and then had a resurgence in reruns to the point where they made a movie of it. And that movie sparked 5 more movies and an appearance in a 6th movie. This is the iconic Star Trek character James T. Kirk. Played obviously by William Shatner, also later played by Chris Pine. You would think with an iconic character like James T. Kirk, especially for those who grew up more 60s, 70s, 80s-ish, James T. Kirk was almost to a point like Robert Downey Jr. of nobody else can play this character like him. William Shatner is James T. Kirk. Like there's nobody else. And then Chris Pine does a good job. I think a great job of playing him just a little differently, but he's not he's not what William Shatner was, but he has his own take on it. I think
William Shatner, to me, almost kind of played the character like a pirate.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
he just kind of like a no holds bar. Like we're just gonna kind of free will and figure our way out through this. And
a renegade.
Yeah.
More of a renegade.
Yeah.
He was a great, push pull with Spock. Spock was all logical, and then Kirk was on the seat of his pants, kind of. It's a great relationship. But yeah, so James T. Kirk is a pirate captain of his own starship. Really, it's kind of what it is. But he's the things about Star Trek is inherently because of their philosophy as a human race, they're kind of a hero race. They're like what we would probably aspire to be as human beings. No more money. Pretty much sicknesses, most of them have been cured, unless they find new ones. Like we're always finding new ones, but like money is not the motivation anymore. It's about expanding your mind, but then they're kind of in a military type organization.
the Federation.
The Federation,
Yeah.
right? The Starfleet. So they have to, like a military, they have commanders, and they have to follow a chain of command and that kind of a thing. So it's put into that world, which I always found kind of weird, the dichotomy of that. One, it's like you could do anything you wanted to, but 2, you would decide to join this fleet of people. You decide to join the military. So it's like, wow, if we've gone beyond war and fighting and all these things in our own planet, why would you want to join a military? Not necessarily. It's not a military force. You don't call it.
Well, I always looked at
exploration.
I looked at Starfleet as more like the space police. Like they kind of just police space
Green
to make sure. I guess kind of, so to speak. Like it's not they're not necessarily enforcing rules and laws, but they're making sure all the different alien races are abiding by the rules that have been set out.
And I think
security.
They really, I think, I love Star Trek. I wouldn't consider myself a really deep Trekkie though, so I don't know this for sure. But the mission that's always been expressed is one of exploration. They just want to explore. They want to find new worlds. They want to meet new people. They want to find new cultures. But that is inherently dangerous. So they have a military section of the Federation to help when those times get troublesome. It's not necessarily that it's the Federation itself that's looking they want to necessarily bring peace, but bringing peace to an unlawful or chaotic universe, that you're going to run into some things that you might need a military for. So.
I gotta say, watching the movies, the Shatner movies, did you ever get the vibe that they made the Klingons like black people?
I think
they were like more aggressive. They were beastly. They were darker. It's like, is there like a hint of racism with the? What's really going on here, man?
But see, one of the most iconic O'Hara on the show is like one of the most iconic
No,
Star
that's
Trek
true.
people.
Yeah, not Rachel
So
Nichols, Michelle Nichols, I believe.
yeah, Michelle Nichols. That's right. So and she was one of the most prominent African American women on television at the time.
Yeah,
Like
one of the only ones, I
I think
believe.
Martin Luther King was like she was thinking about leaving the show, and he actually told her to stay.
I saw that clip because he was like, "You don't realize how important it is for
Impactful
you."
it is for young little girls to see.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I hope not.
and then
I hope that wasn't the origin of it.
Worf is what popular Klingon, and he's
Very popular.
Yeah,
Next generation. Right.
played by Michael Dorn.
So I don't know. Definitely the very the biggest threat at some points was them. Very aggressive. I hope its origin wasn't in that. Based on what I know about the creator of the show and what he was trying to get across, I don't think that was it.
Talking about Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, I don't think that he was that his motivation was any type of racial when creating them, but I don't know for sure.
I mean, the whole show is peppered with multiple alien races of different species and that. So I mean, I don't think that. It's just if you wanted to go ahead and just make the case, I guess you could.
Right.
But you're stretching a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the fact that O'Hara played such a big part of it, and that she was so important for what she was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first interracial kiss was on that show.
You're right. You're right.
That's some very impactful things and positive. So for a show that's that progressive, I guess, and to feature that and to do it, I guess they got some blowback from that, but still did it. I think that would be the last thing on their mind is to try to to make a race about a people, but not about a people.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So, okay, so that was mine. That was James T. Kirk. What's your next one? You had John McClane as your last one.
So we're gonna go back to show the women some more love.
I love it. I love this.
This woman was in everybody on my list is a part of a franchise.
That's just a kind of a side effect of the iconic.
I think so too. Yeah, it's hard to stand out in just one movie. Not to say it can't be done, but when you're comparing a character that was in one movie that did amazing things versus one person who did it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, it's easy to see who's going to be the winner there. So this female, she was in 4 movies in the franchise, and I doubt it'll be rebooted just because I think as this franchise went on,
I'm sorry to tell you that there are going to be 11 Fast and Furious. So 4,
You're gonna
not all of them. You can't start at Fast 5 and go through 9 and think you're done. You should really start with the first one and go through the Too Fast, Too Furious, underrated. The Tokyo Drift is actually pretty good, dude. Little Bow Wow's Hulk car or whatever it is, it's like a Kia hatchback. Check it out.
It's hard for me to tell you anymore if you're even joking or not. Anyway, this is the character Celine from the Underworld franchise.
Okay.
Come on, man. You gotta. This is Kate Beckinsale, bro. Like in her prime. Why are you making me laugh? Stop. I'm being serious.
Come on, man.
She's number 6 on the list.
Oh, the most iconic.
You put Kate Beckinsale in black latex, and she slays.
Let me just apologize. This is a subjective list. So,
Thank you. See?
Okay. Go ahead. Hit me with it.
Thank you. I didn't laugh at whoever.
I mean, you literally picked the Britney Spears of movie making, but go ahead. Hit me with it one more time, baby.
Paul W.S. Anderson is the Britney Spears of filmmaking?
No.
Bro, if Paul ever hears you say that, man, I can't hold back whatever happens to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm worried. Keep going.
I mean, look, the movies are...
No, plead your case. I want to hear it.
So the movies, admittedly, aren't that great. I mean, look... No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get through
You're
this.
not helping your case at all with your opening statement.
Okay.
You've already lost the jury.
So, 4 movies in the franchise. The first one and the third one are really good. The first one kind of sets the tone and creates the world. And
look, all the Indiana Jones movies aren't good either, but he's on the list.
Right, and he should be. And he should be on your list if that's how you feel. Celine deserves to be on my list. Okay? Are you done? Are you done?
I'm trying to keep something in my mouth so I don't say nothing.
Oh, pause, but okay. So anyway.
Chips.
Yes, thank you. This is one of the vampire movies that's actually a cool vampire movie. Because it's vampires and werewolves. It's not Twilight. It's not some bare-chested guy glittering in the sun. It's gritty, it's gory. There's like a whole lore to it in the history before even Celine's character, because they do have a spinoff with Rona Mitra. It's the rise of the like, is what you call the werewolves in this franchise. You want to laugh so bad. Look at your face. I'm so glad we don't do video because they would be looking at you, judging you. You know what they're gonna say? I know what someone's gonna say. Let Mike speak.
I am.
Okay, yeah, but no, but your face is saying a lot more.
I'm trying to keep it in, man.
I need you to compose yourself.
I need a minute.
You're the kind of guy that
You just hit me with a haymaker. I wasn't expecting, dude. It was just out of nowhere. You were building this up, so I just didn't think you were gonna say, okay.
But look, they're just fun, stupid movies. But I get to see vampires kill werewolves, and the werewolves look terrifying. The vampires look cool, and we get to see heads sliced off and lots of bullets shot out of guns, and it's just really cool. And everything's shot in the dark because they're vampires.
And budget.
And budget, and that's Underworld. That's Celine.
Okay.
She even won an award for I think it's like not an Indie Award, but maybe Critics' Choice or something like that. Anyway, for the character. So, yeah, there you go. Take that. Celine, everyone, Celine.
She could walk through that door right now. I wouldn't even know who she was.
Yeah, she would. Yo, if Kate Beckinsale walked through this door with blue
She could have a
eyes,
lichen hanging off of her, and I still wouldn't know.
so you never see any of the Underworld movies. Is that what you're telling me?
I might have seen the first one because there was
Scott Speedman was in it. He's in the first two.
I like Scott Speedman.
So there you go. What are you laughing at? You can't laugh now, huh?
Celine, I went Celine Dion. I thought, what did you?
You know what? You're gonna piss off the female audience members because you laughed at Ripley.
I will laugh. You female listeners who love Underworld,
boy.
now you're on my list. You don't worry about me being on your list. You're on mine.
Here we go.
All right.
That's how it starts.
Okay, Celine. How do you spell that?
Selene.
This ain't Celine, but he has been in multiple movies.
Okay.
Similar to Celine. He's no Celine, but
Robert Pattinson.
Ethan Hunt from the Mission Impossible series.
Man, that's on my list.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, every Mission Impossible film he's been the star of, and there's been, I don't know, 8, or fixing to be 8.
Yeah.
There is no, arguably no bigger superstar over that time period. Doesn't look exactly the same, but looks pretty good.
I mean, for his age,
yeah. Still doing the stunts, still breaking his foot on stunts.
So it's really just him and Keanu Reeves are the only two guys really doing it at the level, and they're all close in age too.
Yeah, you think about it, yeah. Mm-hmm. The fact they've been able to sustain their stardom for as long as they have is unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ethan Hunt is just this iconic character. Doesn't really known for a wardrobe thing. You know, isn't somebody you can dress up as Halloween, but he's and actually a film franchise I didn't think was going to do very well initially. It's based off a '60s television show that had a cool iconic intro with the dynamite, the lighting, whatever they light dynamite with. Had that lighting of that as the intro, and it has this iconic, I think, Peter Gunn music. But that was really what the show was. You know, it's about secret agents and spies and that kind of thing. So that was all the television show was about, and that's what they were all building the show on. But it came right out of the gate, and it was banging, man. I've actually had to watch that first Mission Impossible like several times just to be sure I get it, because I didn't get it at all of it. I didn't get it all first viewing at the theater. I just thought the action scenes were cool. You know, the helicopter in the train tunnel. The breaking into Langley, hanging from that acrobatic, those strings,
Yep.
to try and get to the room that can't be broken into. And it was done with a nice pace, and it had good music, and it was fun, but also thrilling. Great balance of that. And then 2 with the John Woo, they went off the deep end a little bit with the action. Got back with 3 and J.J. Abrams, and I think it's just been rolling ever since. And all the ones that have come since, even to this last one, was really good. So, yeah, I think Ethan Hunt is an iconic character, but yeah, that's just my list.
Okay. Next one for me is iconic in that this guy is like, if John McClane's just the everyday man cop and he finds a way to win, this guy is him but on steroids.
Okay.
Just a little bit crazy, a little bit insane. Even though he claims he's not, when you first meet him, you think he is because he's just off the rails. Like he's a wild card. You don't know what this guy's thinking, what he's gonna do next. But at the end of the day, this guy, if you call him, he's gonna get the job done. And when you partner him up with Danny Glover, they can do anything. This is Martin Riggs from the Lethal Weapon franchise.
Riggs, yes.
Like they took the John McClane mold and said, let's make this guy even more crazy, even more off the rails, more high octane, more action, and that's what we get here.
Clinically depressed, over the line, borderline suicidal, not even borderline. Yeah, so like on the edge, especially that first movie, he was on that edge.
Yeah.
And then kind of turned into a family man as his own version of a family man as the series kept going.
Well, it helped for him to be around Riggs and his family, and not Riggs, Murtaugh and his family, and eventually Rene Russo's character who comes in part 3. It kind of helped to mellow him out a little bit.
It did.
But the crazy's still in there a little bit.
That's cool growth.
It is. It is to see that over the course of 4 movies.
And what an amazing actor he is, dude. I know for all the stuff that happens.
I don't think he really gets his fair due as far as how good he is as an actor.
Watch The Patriot, bro.
Oh, no, I love that
Patriot
movie.
Yeah. You'll be crying. He's so good.
Young Heath Ledger is in that.
Yeah. Well,
And the dynamic between Danny Glover and Mel Gibson in this franchise is some of the best you'll ever see.
Yeah, they were getting too old for this stuff.
In the first one?
And then they did like 3 more.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think they said that...
There's another one coming, right?
Supposedly. Don't know yet.
I don't know. It's like another Bad Boys. Do you really need another Bad Boys?
I've been seeing BTS of that everywhere from Bad Boys. Yeah, I'm nervous. But Danny Glover was 40 years old in the first one. So it's funny that he was even using that line then.
Yeah, just 40, yeah. He looked like he was 50.
He did. He looked, hey, hang out with Martin Riggs every day. I don't age you up quick.
I think I don't think it was the main villain, but it was Gary Busey, right?
Was the first one, yep.
He wasn't the main guy. He wasn't the main, he was like the side guy.
Yeah. He's almost kind of like the muscle.
Yeah.
But he and Riggs were both, I guess, like special forces in their past, so they...
Jet Li, I remember was...
And that was in part 4? Yeah. Part 3, yeah, part 4, yep.
With Chris Rock?
Yeah. He almost killed him in that movie. I was like, one of them guys might die in this movie.
Dude.
He gave him a beating. That was the first time I think the Western world had seen Jet Li, because he had done a lot of martial arts overseas.
Yeah.
But that was the first time American audiences saw this guy. We were like, he's going to be a star. And then Jet Li was in all the martial arts movies.
Yeah.
He basically took over where Jackie Chan kind of left off.
Yep.
But yeah, that was...
Did Jackie ever leave?
No, because they did the movie together.
It was like an adolescence movie. Because the main character was an American kid who just like stumbled into something, like he found a magical staff or something.
Well, by the way, I've never seen that kid since.
But he has a face that I know from somewhere. I've seen him in something before. Yeah. All right. Good choice. Good choice. My next iconic character is pretty easy. His father would have been on this list if it was the opposite of protagonist, right? But he is the light to his father's darkness, Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
Star Wars, a big part of our childhood. It's a big part of anyone that grew up in the 80s, late 70s. They love Star Wars. Or they knew of Star Wars. Let's put that. Not everybody loves Star Wars. But seems like everybody does. It seems like it. Luke Skywalker, a young adolescent, frustrated teenager. It doesn't look like he was a teenager in the movie, but a teenager, very young. Finds out that his father's a Jedi, and that he finds his father's mentor, and that they have a job to go save the princess. And that's kind of how it starts off. And then Luke becomes a Jedi, and then the rest of those movies see him grow into that role until we really don't get to see him at his most powerful until end of the second season, Mandalorian. We get to see Luke Skywalker at his most powerful, I think. But through the first 3 movies, that first original trilogy, like Luke Skywalker and his name is so iconic. You can just say the name Skywalker. Everybody knows what you're talking about. People have played with his toys for decades. People have dressed up as him. Their kids love to throw that green lightsaber everywhere. So iconic, man. Yeah, Luke Skywalker, undoubtedly one of the biggest heroes / protagonists in movie history.
Okay. Great choice. I almost had him too, but I figured you would, so I left it.
Good. See, you know me so well.
I'm thinking of you, man.
You know me so well. And I have no clue what you're going to do.
I love it.
It just takes me so... I'm like, wow.
I'm a ticking time bomb, man.
All right, you are. Well, that's what they all say about you.
Next one for me, we're going back to females. This one actually is legitimate.
I don't think it's not a legitimate.
I know.
It was your list.
I'm messing with you, bro. I got you.
Right.
You actually may know who this is, even though you haven't seen the movies. But you know my affinity for horror films.
Yes.
And you know my favorite all-time horror film is the 1978 John Carpenter classic, Halloween.
We've talked about that.
And so on this list of most iconic protagonists, I'm going to go with Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode.
Okay.
Who has survived this franchise for 40 years, I think, right at 42 years. The last Halloween that she was in was in 2023. It was Halloween Ends, and it was very lackluster, very disappointing, because what happened was she was in the first two movies, 1978 and then 1981. And then they moved on with the franchise and went a different direction. They wrote the Laurie Strode character out of the franchise and moved on to her niece. But then they brought her back for a couple of other entries. There's Halloween H2O that had Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams, and LL Cool J was in it. That was in 1998, so that was 20 years later. And then they wrote her back in again in 2003 in Halloween Resurrection. And in that movie, Michael kills her because she's locked up in an insane asylum. So Michael gets his revenge finally, kills the iconic legacy, what the horror genre calls the final girl because she survived all this time, finally gets rid of her, and the rest of the movie's trash. Because that happens at the very beginning of that movie.
She's not in it anymore after the beginning of that?
Nah.
Because she looks like, in the pre-posters, it looked like she was ready to kick butt. Like she was like, if I'm remembering it right, what I saw.
Well, this is from 03.
Okay.
So what happens in 2018?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Is Danny McBride, of all people, and another guy, they bring the franchise back. And they say, we're going to do another trilogy, and we're going to make it Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode. We're going to have the two of these two iconic characters in this franchise that span 40-plus years. We're going to have them face off again for real, like a rematch. And they remove a lot of the lore that's been explored in the previous entries.
How did they bring her back?
Well, they say she's kind of like been in hiding, reclusive, but preparing for the day for Michael to return, to break out again.
So she didn't really die in 2003 based on this.
Yes, they don't even acknowledge it.
Oh,
so
they don't even.
The 2018 Halloween only acknowledges Halloween 1, the original.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a lore that Michael and Laurie were brother and sister. They took all that out.
Ooh.
The whole thing about the niece, they took all that out. Yeah, her getting killed in part 8, they don't even.
But you don't think that the newest version saved it?
So the 2018 movie did.
Okay.
And then they said this is a part of a new trilogy.
And they did the second part of it, and that's the one you don't care for.
It's okay. And then the third one, Halloween Ends, is the last one of the three, and it was my least favorite. Because it doesn't even really focus on Michael Myers. There's a Michael Myers Laurie Strode face-off at the very end, but it's very anticlimactic. There's really no build-up to it, not properly, because they go a different direction. I won't spoil it, but they go a different direction with the villain, and nobody really liked it. But so to me, the number one is always going to be the best, but Laurie Strode is an iconic character because she's spanned 40 years of this franchise. She's just as iconic as Michael Myers is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. And I'm not surprised that, I don't know, maybe Michael Myers is on your list, but there's some kind of a horror, like Freddy or something like that would be potentially on your list as well, but that's not necessarily a hero, but...
Well, we should definitely do a top 10 antagonists, and he would definitely be on there.
All right. My final one, this is my last one on my list. I'm not sure how many you've got on yours. But the final one on my list, I think we hinted at it before because I said Henry Cavill, so you probably guessed it. It was this one, and it's Superman. Superman movie came out in 1978, the original Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, and that spawned 3 sequels. On top of that first one. Each one kind of declining, I think, in popularity and
you think two was good?
I think 2's right up there.
Okay.
But it's like 1 and 2 for me.
Right.
So 1 and 2 are right there. 3 down with Richard Pryor and then the fourth one, Nobody Remembers Quest for Peace.
What was the tagline for the first one? You'll believe a man can fly. Is that what the tagline?
It sounds like it. Yeah, that sounds right. But that was back, 78. Yeah, that was just Superman had been a very popular character in the comic books, but nobody had brought them to the big screen yet until '78. And then the introduction of him just kind of there was a little bit of a superhero boom then, and I don't, until Henry Cavill played him in Man of Steel, I'm not sure they really did Superman a lot of justice movie-wise, right? Because the only other movie Superman other than Christopher Reeve was Brandon Routh's version.
Oh yes, Superman Returns. Yeah,
and that, although there's really cool elements in that movie. It's just not a great overall film, and it's a Bryan Singer movie. There's some complicating things with that. But I thought they were on a good track with the Henry Cavill one. I think Man of Steel is underrated. It took a bit of a step down with Batman versus Superman. But you can see the potential with that. And at least the characters, I think at least the actors were pretty strong in those movies. Although I think the story lacked a bit. And I like the director. I like Zack Snyder. But they're going in a whole new direction now with a new Superman. They've already picked him in David Cornsweet. I think I'm saying his name right. And I think they just started principal production. They started filming 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So it's going to be, and that's 2025, 26?
25, I believe, yeah.
Hope so.
Well, by the time you guys hear this, they'll probably be done.
Yeah. You probably go see it. You probably have it streaming somewhere by the time of this podcast. No, but no, Superman, iconic character. You know exactly what that is when you see it. When people dress up as it, or that's just so iconic. You know him just by the outfit alone. And then I think the definitive Superman is always going to be Christopher Reeve for me. But I know a lot of people's Superman is Henry Cavill. They're like, he's the one. And he's a good choice. I like him as Superman. But iconic character, one of the most iconic in comic books and in film, and probably the most iconic superhero ever. I think Superman, because of that, it could be argued Spider-Man, Batman, whatever. But Superman, because of the things that he can do, he's like the most powerful. Originally I think the most wholesome, or at least the way he was portrayed. Like he's very all good kind of person, Superman. I don't think there's anything else to be said.
Superman. No, not at all. Like the Henry Cavill Man of Steel. I own that Blu-ray.
Yeah, me too.
He was the best thing about the DCEU, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that.
Like he had his moments to shine in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
he was the highlight of that movie, and then of course the Wonder Woman appearance at the end was really cool to see, like the trio of the Justice League for the first time.
That music,
yeah, it was really cool. But I always wish that they had just found a way to get a sequel for just him. And unfortunately, we'll never get that. And a lot of people were really upset about the recast when James Gunn took over. I was one of those people. But, we'll see what we get next year.
Yeah.
So, I'll give him a shot.
Look, and I think getting the Snyder cut of Justice League was like the swan song of that.
Yeah.
You got 4 hours of a movie remade, spent $75 million, I think, poured back into it to film the scenes and do the scenes that he wanted to do originally. That never happened, and the fact that it happened and he was able to make it, I think it should quench that thirst a little bit of what it could have been.
Well, I think a lot of people forget now because that's been 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of people forget what happened. Zack Snyder was going to direct the Justice League. He started. And I believe it was his son or his daughter committed suicide.
Yeah, he did a good part of it.
Yeah, but then when he left to, grieve the loss of his child, they brought in Joss Whedon.
Who made a lot of sense because he had found success in the Avengers movie.
But very different in tone.
Different in tone and clearly a mistake afterwards. Yeah.
So he came back and then...
And not just came back, he rewrote.
Well, he came back, rewrote it, and then the fans were pushing for at least the Snyder cut. And eventually... The studio said okay. They gave more money, and they gave us what we got. I can say this now because it was with a different company at the time where I work. I actually called in the day that the Snyder Cut released on HBO Max, and
Call it sick?
and I watched it. Oh, you bet I did, 100%.
Hey, I ain't mad at you. Look, there's some back in the day when a video game would come out. I knew it was coming out. I tried to take the day off. I mean, I'm gonna take a vacation day just to, and then what would be so bad is if the game came out and it was buggy or like Grand Theft Auto. I think when they had the online version first came out, like me and my brother took time off. We're like, we're gonna. And then when the first online was available, it was such a rough debut and launch that we couldn't get in a room together. It wouldn't stay on. Like all the bugs were, So sometimes that doesn't work out.
Yeah, I agree.
But taking a sick day, calling it sick for a movie, that's our audience. What are you talking about?
Right. So take a day off and listen to all of our. Just
Is
binge listen to everything.
Deadpool Wolverine comes out, I'd take the day off.
It's a Friday. You're gonna take the.
I want to see it at noon.
There you go. Okay. All right.
I don't want to be spoiled. I'm going to see it first showing maybe.
I got you.
But that's probably going to be Thursday night. So you're okay.
So Superman, and that was your last one.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 3 left because you did Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and you had a couple on mine. So
Right.
all right. So my last 3.
We all can't wait. Which underworld characters are these?
Come on, man, stop.
I know Speedman's in there.
Speedman's not in there.
What?
It is another female, and we're gonna stick with horror. So we did Laurie Strode from the Halloween franchise, my last one. This one is another iconic horror franchise that, well, I can't say it's still going because there's been an issue with the 2 leads. One said some things about the whole conflict in Israel, and people are getting canceled for saying the wrong thing.
What?
So they kicked her. The studio kicked her off of the project, which they were going to move on with part 8. And then the other female star that was in this franchise, they're scheduling conflicts because she's the star of the Netflix Wednesday show from the Addams Family.
Ortega.
Jenna Ortega. So this is Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell. This is, I think, her most iconic role just in her career. She doesn't have one of those illustrious careers where she's done, a million things, but she started out with television and she made the leap to movies. And she's been in every entry in this Scream franchise.
How many have there been?
6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she's been in a lot of Scream franchises.
well, she wasn't in 6. I guess there was like some dispute over money. I think she asked for more money than the studio was willing to pay, but she's
She's the only through line through all 6,
Yeah.
or the main star.
well, her and Courtney Cox.
Right.
But I mean, she's one of the final girls, So you give her her fair shake. I think she deserves whatever money she asks for. If they could do it for Laurie Strode in the Halloween franchise and bring her back, then why can't they do it for her? But for whatever reason, it didn't happen, so she wasn't in Scream 6. And Scream 7 is kind of up in the air now, like I said, with whatever's going on with Melissa Barea and Jenna Ortega. The studio's trying to pivot and see what they can do, what kind of rabbit they can pull out of the hat now to continue the franchise, because they brought the franchise back with 5, and they've brought in legacy characters with this new cast, and they've kind of continued forward the new cast as like the core 4. And so now
Is this Wes Craven that originally did it?
originally, yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen, but Sidney Prescott, I think she's a staple in the horror community. Like
Okay.
anybody that's a fan of horror films knows when you talk about Scream, Sidney Prescott is synonymous with Scream.
Got it.
And let's see, I think I've got 2 left. Next one, not one of Denzel's most iconic roles, but just the character itself, I think, because we never seen him so brutal. And so, like, okay, well, I'm very at peace, but if you mess with my peace, it's kind of like John Wick. It's like, leave me alone, but if you don't leave me alone, then you get to suffer the consequences of what happens. And I'm really good at what I do. And I'm not, I'm not pretty about it. I make it very bloody. It's a bloody scene. And this is, guys, based off a TV show where basically this guy just helps people that need help in whatever they need
Kind of like a
assistance with.
one-man A-team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and ironically, both of these shows, the A-Team and this show that the movie's based on, are both from the 80s.
Yeah,
So this is Robert McCall from the Equalizer franchise.
that's right. Equalizer.
And I think it's iconic for one reason specifically, because Denzel's never done a franchise, especially at this stage of his career. He's done so much, and we're talking about 40 years of movies consistently at a high level, and then for him to do something that's pretty physically demanding as well as cerebral.
Yeah.
I will say with Equalizer 3, you could tell the age was there.
catch
It was showing a lot of shots at night. You know, a lot of night scenes. But the cinematography was cool because the character is now residing in Italy.
Yeah.
So they took their time showing him integrate into this other part of the world, and his character finally feels like he belongs.
Found a home.
Yeah. And then of course the mob comes and messes all that up, and now I got to go and be super killer again.
You got to do it, yeah.
So whereas John Wick, we talked about as a super assassin, he was bad at first, got out and became good. They wouldn't leave him alone. Robert McCall's always been good. He's fought for the government as like a special assassin for hire, like special forces guy. He's got all these skills like the Taken character, which by the way, I'm surprised wasn't on your list.
Oh, the Taken character?
Yeah. Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah, might have should have been.
But yeah, I mean this guy is it's Denzel. I mean, there's not much else to say. Like it's one of those names that speaks for itself.
Dude, and then of course he has that whole iconic thing with his watch that he does. He always likes, you have 9 seconds.
He's timing himself. He's like, how long is it going to take to take out this room full of guys?
Yeah, and he's kind of got that Sherlock Holmes vision of like trying to anticipate. And they show that a little bit. Yeah, especially that first one. That first one had a lot of heart in the Home Depot. Well, it's basically a Home Depot, but him just solving problems for people in the Home Depot, or the girl that he meets at the diner every night, reads, and how he helps them. And then 2 was a little bit more of an extension of that, but then it got personal with him. His old crew came back.
That was Pedro Pascal.
That was Pedro Pascal.
Yep.
It was. And then the third one was just him. Like, it felt like his final. But it also reunited him with that actress
Dakota Fanning
from
Man of Fire.
Man on Fire, which was really cool to see those two back together again, and her grown up to be that an actress still acting, which is awesome. A lot of those child actors are struggling when they get out, but that when they get older. But that was cool to see them two reunited in that film too. So I think I heard that Denzel said this was the last one, but you'll never know.
I mean, have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, after seeing it, I think it's time for him to hang it up.
Okay. Gotcha.
He had a good run with the character.
He did.
It's okay to move on.
I think it was a character that I don't think anybody expected to spawn 3 movies. So
No, not at all. I was very shocked when they announced 2. Like, 1 could have been a one-off and just said, okay, this is what it is now. We know how this is going to play out after the credits roll.
Right.
And we come back with 2, and I was like, I can watch 2 again. I can watch another more of this.
And I don't think 2 hurt the franchise. Like, it just, it wasn't like, I don't think it was about on the same level as 1, And then 3 was such a departure, but also felt connected to. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having another one, but like you said, I think he is getting a little bit older.
Agreed.
So, unless AI takes over.
All right, here we go.
All right, last one.
We were at the very end, and you just had to sneak in AI.
Well, you know what I mean? I got to.
So this one initially would have been an honorable mention, but you covered a lot of what I had. So
this is perfect.
This actually makes number 10 on my list.
Okay.
So I actually got 10.
Nice, you got 10.
Yeah, maybe a little underwhelming, may not be worthy of some people's iconic, but I mean, he was in one of the biggest franchises in the last 20 years.
I like how you're tempering my expectations.
And I'll never forget seeing the first one. I never thought I'd see this adaptation on the big screen. Oh. It kind of reminded me of when the first time I saw X-Men in 2000.
Okay.
Never thought I'd see Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, Jubilee, Magneto on the big screen with those powers.
It's thrilling.
So this is kind of like that too. And this is Sam Witwicky, played by Shia LaBeouf, and the Transformers franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Shia LaBeouf. I know a lot of people kind of hold him to his past still.
Yeah. I think he's a tremendous actor.
I do too. And I think across the board people do, but they still kind of judge him for his mistakes.
I think the same thing we're doing with Will Smith now. I feel myself doing it too. Just his actions all outside have now tainted some of the films that he's done in the past. I think some people felt that way about Shia too.
I think he's on a great upswing in his career and just in his life, and he's been on this great redemption arc as well. Like he's John Bernthal, who played the Punisher on Netflix, and Shane in The Walking Dead. Everybody knows John Bernthal. Well, he has his own podcast. I think it's called Real Ones.
Yes.
And he and Shia LaBeouf were in Fury together.
They were.
With Michael Pena and Brad Pitt, and they became really good friends after that movie and through that process. And so they've kind of stayed in touch. So he had Shia LaBeouf come on his podcast, and basically
he laid it all out there, dude.
He laid it all out there. And what I love about was John Bernthal let Shia just talk.
Yeah.
He didn't try to interject or speak or ask all these questions. He let him get it all out. And he told everything. He spoke about what the people were saying about him and the rumors and the things he had done. And he talked about the process that he's gone through to kind of become a better person and kind of make amends for the things he's done. And he talked about how he's like, look, man, I know I messed up a lot, and I've hurt a lot of people, and I'll be on the road to recovery and making things right with people forever. But he said the great thing is, like, the work isn't done, and until the day I die, I'm going to continue to try and right the wrongs that I've placed in people's lives. And just it's a lot of people can dissociate the actor from their antics off screen, and some people can't. And I'm able to do that, but I'm a fan of his because I like him in his interviews. He seems like he has a lot of charisma, a lot of energy. He's got great comedic timing. He started out performing on stage.
Well, he was in Even Stevens for Disney.
And then Holes, and
then
like I've seen his ascension from Disney to where he is now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, and like he's still fairly young. Like he's got so much time and so much talent that I hope to see him again.
Yeah, if anybody seemingly, he's just because of the immense talent that he has.
Mm-hmm.
You saw, I think you see something similar with Robert Downey Jr. when he had his rough time.
Yeah. And
then he was able to come back and just win an Oscar. I think Shia LaBeouf could do the same. I will say though, let's go back to the character of Wiki.
We didn't talk about
how many Transformers was actually he actually in?
He was in three, and then after that was Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that might be those three are the best. I remember the hype on that first one. What about Optimus Prime as maybe the more iconic? What do you think about that as a Transformer?
I would say that if the movie put more focus on the Transformers, but it really focused on
Sam. Say that first one
and his journey with Bumblebee, discovering Bumblebee, what Bumblebee is,
right,
and then his relationship with Michaela, played by Megan Fox. It was more about him because he was just kind of like a guy, just a regular high school kid, wasn't necessarily important or popular, but wanted to be. And Bumblebee kind of helped him. Also, became his companion throughout the franchise, to the point where in Transformers 3, when the Autobots are about to leave Earth, there's that emotional goodbye Sam has with Optimus Prime, with Bumblebee. Like, you could see, like, the character growth from 1 to 3 and how attached he became. I think in a lot of ways, especially him being in high school, like at high school age, his character was in the first one, like how pivotal and how much of a mark they left on his life as a person. And you can see him grow because of it. So,
dude, you talking about it makes me I gotta go back and watch that movie again, dude. And that's what the goal of this podcast is, of course.
That's it, man.
You guys remember all the good times and all the good movies. That maybe we talk about something and spark something in you to watch a movie for the first time that you maybe have been neglecting or maybe you've never heard of, or go back and watch one of your favorite movies that maybe wasn't even on our list because it is on your list. So thank you for listening one more time here, joining us again on this hopefully never-ending journey of our coming up with lists. Once we run out of lists, like Mike said, we're done. But so far we have plenty to talk about. And at some point, I think we're going to give our listeners an avenue to submit some list ideas to us, because man, we'd love to do what you guys want to hear too. That'd be fun. And we so far we love doing it.
Yeah.
But we've always loved talking about movies. So I don't think there's going to be a never-ending well of that. So
that's true. And as long as they keep putting movies out, I think we'll always have lists.
Dude, there's more than ever now. And you know what? I need help navigating what to watch, what not to watch, what's good, not good sometimes. Because we all don't have enough time to watch everything. So we just have to be curators of our own watch lists, and maybe we can help curate a little bit.
Why don't you just come to the dark side and just jump into the horror genre? I got a whole list to give you.
Do you imagine how it frees up to ignore an entire genre? Like, you don't ever have to either, you're not excited, but you're also not disappointed. You just know it's this entire side. You're like, I don't know much about German heavy metal music, but I don't care. Like, I'm happy for you.
It's actually not bad, by the way.
It probably is.
I've heard some German heavy metal.
David Hasselhoff is big over there.
Well, I don't know. I don't listen to him, but yeah.
Maybe you should. Come to the dark side and listen to David Hasselhoff music. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you for going on this ride with us. Mike, what do you got to say as we end another Top 10 List show?
Tip your servers.
Yep.
Again, pay your bills.
Pay my bills.
Yeah.
Wax my car.
Yeah, wash your cars. Pollen season.
Ugh.
Yeah, keep your car clean, man. I don't want to see your filthy cars out there on the road. Hey, you know what? The last thing, too, When you should turn signals,
Well,
John.
here we go.
You should turn signals, okay?
Soapbox, okay. And be sure you spade and neuter your parents. All right, thank you guys so much.
Like, subscribe, share.
Share. Please help us get the word out about the Top 10 Pod so we can make more of these and have conversations you parasocially.
Yes, love you guys. Peace out.
Take care. Bye.